Welcome back to another Coffee and a Chat, 3 o'clock in the morning edition. And there's a frog in my throat. It's actually 4 something in the morning now. Long story, but we're going to try not to do a long story here. I want to share with you guys, since God happened to have me up, because it's our new normal. I guess this is where you come to see broken Angie as God is putting the pieces back together into a new and improved Angie. My goodness. So yesterday morning, I didn't do a video, but the Lord did get me up at 3 then too, for those of you that are kind of following this journey of God waking me up at 3 in the morning to make a video. There just really wasn't a video to be made, but there was some time, very precious time, to be spent with the Lord, and it was a killer to get up. I wouldn't say it was even that easy this morning, but I'm learning to just get out of that bed, and then it all comes together, and it's okay. So yesterday morning, I get up at 3 something, and I come in here, and there's no video, but I'm in the Word, and I'm talking to the Lord, and I just thanked Him for the day, because it was going to be a great day. And I had no idea, but just the sense that I should thank Him for this day, because it's going to be a great day. And it was. So it was a very special day, and there's just kind of this stuff going on in me right now, and I haven't really understood all of it. But yesterday, I think God used my spiritual little brother to show me what this journey is that I'm on, and I'm actually kind of excited about it. So I'm just going to get into it and try and give you a really short version. But there's been several things that have been going on in me, but one is I've been searching for my childhood. I don't know why. But, we've got the internet and all these possibilities of things, it's easy to go find stuff. And so I started looking there's 3 main homes from my childhood. There were some other little ones in between that were temporary, where we lived in them for, like a year or less, waiting for our home that we had purchased, or in one case we were having built. And there's lots of stuff I would love to tell you about that, but it would just eat up time, and it doesn't matter. So I've gone online, I found these childhood homes, and looking for a sense of belonging, and each home has had so many major changes. They're all still standing, so that's cool. But they've had so many major changes that in some cases it's hard to even recognize the house, or the yard, or whatever. So it's not like going home to the place it used to be, or or still seeing the changes as they were gradually being made. Now, when we left the one home when I was a child at 8.5, we'd lived in a different home when I was born, but I was under the age of 2 when we moved into this particular house. And so it's the one I had the memories of, and it was my childhood home. And I thought I was never going to be okay. We were moving away from my hometown. I mean, it's like I thought I needed to stay right there. That's where I belonged, and it wasn't going to be okay to be somewhere else. And my parents kept saying, it will be, you'll see. And so, and they were right. I got through all of it. And they always said, you can't go back either. It won't be the same. And I didn't like that, but they're right. You can't go back. It's not the same. But why am I looking at these childhood homes? Why am I looking for them? My original elementary school's been torn down. It's not even there now. There's a construction company in its place. Can't even go back to that. And that's a weird feeling that, part of my history doesn't even exist there anymore. So I remember when my mom was about this age that I am now, that we had to take her for a drive. We had to go up to Vancouver, Washington, which was just across the river because they lived in Portland, Oregon. But we went up there, and my mom, we had to go drive by all, like her old school, whatever was still standing, the home where she was born, because she was born at home, and in another house that they'd lived in and stuff, and it was fun. And she would, she was enjoying it thoroughly and telling us stories. I remember, we used to do that with my dad a lot, but he still had family where he'd grown up, and so we used to go there all the time anyway. And we'd always drive by the old farm and things, and go to the family, the cemetery where most of our family there were two cemeteries that our family was, his family was all buried in, and so we'd go do that and stuff. And so, maybe there's just something that we do want to go back and reminisce or something, but it doesn't feel like I just want to go back and reminisce. It feels like I'm looking for something. Well, yesterday, I got a text from this friend of mine wanting to know, was I available for prayer? And so usually, that means he wants me to pray for him. And this guy's like a little brother to me in the Lord. And so I called up. Well, no, this time it was different. He'd been praying for Marvin and I, and he just sensed some stuff in his spirit. And so he wanted to pray for us. And so I was like, okay. But he started to share with me some things that he's been going through and all. And it was an amazing phone conversation. I had to leave partway through it because I had something I had to run do. And, and he goes, well, when you get back, give me a call back because I haven't got to pray for you yet. And I really want to pray for you. So I'm like, okay. So, as soon as I could, I called him back and, and we talked some more and prayed. And it was, I told him this was so good that we were having this conversation, because it's like God was shining a light on my life right now and going, this is what you're going through. And before I go right to that, I want to say this, that God has this way of providing for our wants and our needs that may not look like we thought they should look, but they're perfect. I had two brothers growing up. My older brother had some issues in life, which made it not possible for me to really be close to him. He wasn't the protective older brother that I wanted him to be. So I didn't have that. And he's passed away now, but we never could have a really good, healthy relationship. It just wasn't possible. My younger brother, we're only 18 months apart. We shared a lot of life together. We went to school at the same time, as in the same schools, where our older brother was never in the same school with us. He was so much older. And but my younger brother and I, and we tried to be friends and stuff, and every time we got along that okay. We shared a lot of the same friends in life, and because we were so close in age, but I don't think there was ever a real true closeness when I look back now. And as adults, we tried to reconnect at one point and build a relationship, but that was short-lived. And for whatever reason, I cannot have a close relationship with my younger brother. I don't understand why or what the problem is, but we never talk. I assume somebody would tell me if he died. It's horrible, okay? That part of it is horrible to me, because that's the only birth family I have left. So I feel most of the time like an orphan, and like I have nobody left in that. And where Marvin, he's very close with all his siblings, well, I don't know, he'd say very close, but they're close. They talk on a regular basis. They all still live, we live 3 miles from where they grew up, from the old home place. One sister still lives on that land, and his one brother just lives not too far from here. And then he's got another brother that's still living, that I'm not sure he's not all that far from here, and then another sister too, and she's just up in Pennsylvania, and and so we see each other, and they talk on the phone, and and they have sibling relationship that, quite honestly, at times I feel envious because that's what I had hoped for. They can sit, his brother will come over and they'll sit down and just reminisce about their childhood and their parents and stuff. And it's like, I don't have anybody to do that with. So, but I have this brother, Keith, and he is the perfect younger little brother for me. Even though I think he's way smarter than me, way more mature than me. I'm saying that because I know he'll see this video at some point, and then he'll probably laugh. But Keith and I we've gone through things that are similar in life, hard things, and we understand each other in a way that a lot of other people don't understand us. So we can call each other up and talk about something difficult, and it's okay. We can discuss it, we can talk about it, we can help each other through it. We understand each other, and isn't that what, maybe I can't sit down with Keith and talk about, remember when we were kids and mom and dad or anything. We don't have that relationship because we didn't know each other growing up. But we can talk about our Heavenly Father, and we can talk about our journeys in life and what God's doing in our lives, and how we feel about different things, and we get each other. And his wife, Shannon, is one of my dearest friends. Shannon is one of those people that you can confide in, and it's not going anywhere, and she's not going to judge you, and she's way more put together than Keith and I put together. If you combine Keith and I and our maturity and everything, Shannon outshines us. She is the best thing about him. I have no problem telling them that. Their marriage was put together by the Lord, and she is the best part of who he is. She completes him. She balances him. It's pretty great, and I love her so much. And there are times when I'm like, why do they even listen to me or talk to me, or because I just feel like they're way out of my league. But I feel unworthy to be friends with them, let alone to have that sense of family. But yet God provided that because he knew what I needed. And then I've got this other person, June, and I got a mug from her the other day that it shows, I don't know if you can see that, that shows her over here in Washington and me in Delaware, and it says that I wish we lived closer. And because we used to, but now our conversations are over the phone. We can't drive over to each other's houses and, and sit in the car outside and talk because it's too crazy in the house. But, she's been in my life for a lot of years, and she always loves me no matter what. And again, just like with Keith and Shannon and I, our relationship is based on the Lord. That's who brought us together, and that's who holds us together. And same thing with June. And, and she is, I never had a sister growing up. I wanted a sister so bad. And she's my older sister. Yeah, that's right, June. I said it. And I love that. I didn't get to have it growing up, but God's given it to me now. And they're my true sense of siblings, even though we didn't grow up together. So I thank God for that. Now, yesterday, and I'm just going to throw in there, yesterday was also Marvin's and my wedding anniversary. And Marvin and I are married because God put us together. And it has been the most wonderful marriage. We've been married 11 years now. We still have never fought, and I don't think we ever will. We're each other's best friends. The foundation of our relationship is Jesus. So we have these wonderful spiritual conversations, sometimes in the middle of the night, or or the wee hours of the morning or during the middle of the day, or I mean, we'll get to where we're sitting there and so engrossed in this conversation about the Lord that we have to remind ourselves that we've got to get up and do something. There are things waiting to be done. So, and it is the marriage of my joy. And yeah, God has used Marvin so much in bringing about healing and restoration in me. And we both are loving having this kind of a marriage. And we know it's possible now. And we can share that with other people, what is possible if you're committed to it, and how great your marriage can really be. So anyway, with all that, when we started talking and he was telling me the things he was going through, and I'm like, the light came on for me that this is what's going on. And he was talking about how God's been dealing with him about his identity and how the enemy wants to steal that identity, and finding who he is in Christ, and and just sharing some stuff with me. And there's more sharing to take place. But it was such an amazing thing for me. Like, the aha moments kept coming. And it's like everything started making sense. See, I've been going through this thing where I have been condemning myself. And, and I'm like, I know it's the enemy putting these thoughts in it for everything I've ever done wrong in my life. And that I'm really worthless, and that there really isn't anything usable in my life. And why would God even want anything to do with me? And it's just been this, and Keith was talking about, how the enemy will do that to us. And he goes, but that's not who we are. Those are things we've done, but that's not who we are. And then he talked about, who Keith used to be. And then he went through a dark time in his life, and then God made a much better version of him. And that's when Keith and I became close, like brother and sisters, when I was going through the darkest time of my life, coming out of that, not still going through it, but coming out of that. And how, the Angie that I was before is not the Angie, there's a new improved version that came out of that dark time. And those are the things that we can just praise God for and thank him for those dark times when we thought we weren't going to make it. We thought we wouldn't live through it. Didn't know if we wanted to live through it or whatever. But God brought us through it and has made us even better. He takes the most awful things in our life and turns them into something good and wonderful. And so I'm like, okay, I know I've been going through that condemnation thing, and it's been driving me nuts and making me feel worthless. And then, this trying to, I didn't tell him that I've been looking for childhood homes and stuff, and I told Marvin, I don't know what I'm going through. It's like I'm trying to find a sense of belonging. And, and I told Marvin, the only reason I feel I belong here is because I'm married to you. And if something were to happen to you and the Lord took you home, where would I belong? Who am I? What, and that's the other thing. So often, like in my first marriage, my whole identity was surrounded mostly about through him and being married to him and being his wife. And there was not the freedom I have with Marvin to just be me. I had to be who my husband wanted me to be, even down to jobs I held that he chose for me. Even when I had my own business, he did the decorating because I wasn't allowed to. Even though he set me up to look like I was very controlling of him, the truth is he totally controlled our family, our life. Everything revolved around whatever he wanted it to revolve around, which was him. But we lived where he wanted to live. We did what he wanted us to do. And there wasn't a freedom. My hair was the way he wanted it. My makeup was where he wanted. My clothes were what he wanted. I didn't even know what my favorite color was. I knew his. But with Marvin, he's not going to live my life for me like that. He's like, it's your life. You got to figure out what you want to do, and he's given me that freedom to just be. I don't have to jump through hoops. I don't have to perform. I don't have to be a certain way to make my husband happy. He just loves me. And that's pretty amazing. So I see how God has given me what I needed. Maybe isn't the way, because I wanted my first husband, I wanted that to be the only marriage I ever had. I wanted us to be together till death do us part. But as I began to try to become my own person, is that it? Or I'm not sure what, but there were some things revealed that he revealed to me about who he really was. And there were things I knew I couldn't be a part of. So that's what happened, because he let me know. He told me one day that, I had lost my use to him because he wasn't able to control me like he had been before. I didn't just do whatever he wanted and jump through the hoops, and I didn't back him up on things that he wanted to be backed up on, but they weren't true, some of them, and they weren't nice, and they definitely weren't godly, and I wasn't going, now that I knew the truth, I wasn't going to back him on those things. I didn't want to be a part of that. And so that changed that marriage. And he decided, he told me he was done. He didn't want to be married to me anymore. So we got a divorce because that's what he wanted. And even in that, all the paperwork was filled out the way he wanted it, and which was to set me up, and he told me that he was going to make sure that, he would say whatever he had to, but that I would be the bad guy because he couldn't be. And I was just like, I know. I'd watched him do it to so many people before. I think I didn't really think he'd do that to me, but he'd been doing it to me. I just didn't know it. So anyway, enough of that. That's the past. But the only reason I say it is because what God's given me in Marvin is completely the opposite. And so I'm in a position to embrace my identity. But I've been trying to find my identity, I think, since I was 4 years old. And, in listening to Keith yesterday and talking with him and stuff, some of the things I realized, like when I was a counselor, then I thought that was my identity. When I wrote a book one time, I thought that was my identity. Those aren't my identity. Those are just things I've done. They're part of who I am because they're things I've done, but they're not my identity. It's not who I am. It's what I do. And I get the part of my identity. See, God worked this out so good yesterday, because after I was, Keith and I got done talking, I had a few hours, just me and the Lord here alone at home, and I didn't have a lot of things that I had to do yesterday. It was a very different day for me, and so I was able to kind of rest and relax and have some time that I normally don't have, and which is something I've been working on, trying to make at least one day a week that is like that. And so I got to talk to the Lord about this, and I'm excited about being on this journey. I'm excited to find out who I am, because then I'll know what I'm supposed to do. So, I told the Lord, I get that I'm a child of the Most High God. I get that I'm forgiven, even though I can walk in that condemnation, and I need to recognize that for what it is and rebuke that thing in Jesus' name. But I'm not defined by my past. I'm not defined by what I do. That's not my identity. And I really don't know who I am. But I believe I'm going to. That's the season I'm in. That's what's going on. Is God's trying to show me who I am. And with that comes what my assignment is. Because we're all born for a purpose. Did you know that? Did you know you didn't just come into this world to take up space? You didn't just happen to happen because this man and this woman got together and boom, there you were. No, it's still God ordained, and your life has a purpose and it has a plan, and it comes from the Most High God. Even if you don't believe in Him, even if you don't like Him, even if you don't want anything to do with Him, it still comes from Him. You still come from Him. And so I think part of what you're going to see over the next few weeks, months, years, I don't know, is this process as God works it out in me. And I find out who I really am and what my assignment is, what my purpose is, what it is that he still is going to do in me. I am usable to him. See, in my first marriage, I came to the belief that I was not lovable. And it wasn't just that marriage, but it was all the sexual abuse I went through before I ever even met my first husband. All those things added up to make me feel worthless and unlovable and unwanted. I was just, this is how I use it. Okay, paper towels have gotten smaller. But it's like, each person would come along and they just, wipe some dirt off on me, toss me in the trash. Somebody else would pick me up out of the trash, wipe some more dirt on me, toss me in the trash when they were done with me. And that's basically what my life was up until God brought Marvin into my life to show me that's not true. And God has given me a husband who does not wipe dirt on me, and he does not toss me in the trash. He does not reject me. I am no longer a rejected wife. I am no longer unwanted or unloved. And that's huge. And God has, like I said, used Marvin so much in my life to help bring healing to me and restoration. And that continues on, and to give me the freedom to find who I am. So now, after 11 years, I guess I'm finally to a point where I'm ready to take that step and find that out. God's ready to do that in my life. So that's where I'm at, and that's what's going on. And so I don't know if you're going through a thing. Maybe you don't know. Maybe your identity, someone's tried to steal it from you. Maybe you don't know what your identity is. I'm sure you're going to be hearing more about my journey, and in that I hope that it will help you in your journey. And to realize too that we don't always have maybe the family we wanted growing up, or the connections we want in life, the friendships or whatever. But yet, if you take another look, you find that God filled in all the blanks, that he still puts people in those places to fulfill that need in our lives. But he puts the right people in those places. See, I don't have a brother that I can't trust. I don't have a brother that's going to harm me or make fun of me, or no, he gave me a brother who is honorable and is sincere and real and loves me as a sister. He is a safe place, and that's what a brother should be. And I am his, I'm a safe place for him, because that's what a sister should be. And the foundation of our relationship is Jesus Christ. June, my sister, she is a safe place for me. I am a safe place for her, because that's what sisters are supposed to be. And the foundation of our relationship is Jesus Christ. Marvin, oh my Marvin, I love him so. He is a safe place for me, and I am a safe place for him, because that's what your spouse is supposed to be. And the foundation of our relationship is Jesus Christ. I feel so blessed. I am blessed. And I am excited. Finally, it was weighing me down. But now that, after talking to Keith and God shining the light on it all, I'm excited about what's taking place and what's going to take place and what God's going to show me. And I'm not old. Yeah, I'm getting up there. And yes, time has taken a toll on me in many ways. And, age is happening, but I'm not old. I'm not so old that there's nothing God can do with my life. If I was 126, I would not be so old that there's nothing God could do with my life. There's still a youth in me. There's still usefulness in me. And I'm excited to see what I'm going to get to do, or maybe what I am doing for him. All right. This has been a long video, and it Believe it or not, it's the short version. Oh well. This is water, but you can't smell it because we don't have smell-o-vision. But maybe you can hear the little percolator going behind me. My coffee is perking on the stove because I'm about to have some coffee because I'm not going back to bed this morning. I'm too excited to start the day and talk to Jesus. So the house is still quiet for maybe another hour. So yeah, I'm going to have an awesome day today. And I thank God for what a great day this is going to be. It's going to be a great day for you too. All right. I love you. And I hope, if nothing else, if you don't have your faith in Jesus Christ, I hope you can see that in my life. Because this is real. This isn't, I don't put on fancy airs. Like, no makeup, nothing fancy about the hair, in my night clothes. Yeah, it's just the real raw deal. All the little flaws on my face show. I don't care. I don't care. Got a few teeth that have fallen out. Whatever. That happens. But it doesn't matter. So this is real. You get it? I don't even edit these things. Because I don't know what I'm doing. You just get the real raw thing of who I am. Bumps and flaws and everything included. So when I tell you how great it is with Jesus, I'm telling you the truth. And there's nothing that I enjoy with him that you can't enjoy too. He loves you just as much as he loves me. And if you're not allowing him to be a part of your life, I highly recommend you change that. Because I'm telling you, there's nothing even comes close to what it is, life with Jesus. All right. Probably until tomorrow morning at 3. We'll probably be chatting again. Because this, like I said, seems to be the new normal. And it's teaching me obedience and discipline. And I need both. All right. I love you guys. You have an amazing day today.